Welcome back, Bear fans, to the Windy City Bears Network, where I'm your host, RC. Today, I just want to do a quick video, a quick mock draft, the top 10. Most people are doing a top 32. I just want to focus on the top 10. Obviously, we're picking 10th. And, I'm going to try to say who I believe the team will pick and who I think they're going to pick. From team needs, a lot of new head coaches in the top 10. You got the Raiders, you got Jacksonville, you got New Orleans, you got us, you got the Jets. I mean, there's plenty of new teams. But so I try to go back and kind of look at new head coaches, kind of what philosophies they're coming from, and the GMs. There's some new GMs too, and what the philosophies are for them. So with the first pick, you got Cam Ward, I believe, going to be picked. Everybody knows he's going to be picked number one. If they were going to trade back, they would have did it. You had Cleveland at number 2 trying to move up. And then you had the New York Giants at 3 trying to move up. And they're staying pat. So obviously they have their mind made up on who they're picking. Quarterback is a huge need for Tennessee. And they go with Cam Ward with the first pick of the draft. He is the best quarterback in this draft. He's not the best player by far. I don't even think he's the top 5 player in this draft, but you got to go with the need. And when you reach in the first round, normally it's going to be for a quarterback. So Cam Ward going 1. Obviously, Cleveland trying to move up to number 1 to pick him. They're not really sold on Sanders. So I got them going with Travis Hunter out of Colorado. I personally would take Carter from Penn State at 2. And a lot of people would say, well, you have Myles Garrett and you already paid all this money. But by the time Myles Garrett's contract is going to be running out, Carter's rookie contract will be coming up. And I mean, it just kind of matches anyways. So you don't have to pay this top price for Carter until Myles Garrett's contract's up anyways. That would be a very tough. I mean, it would be hard to stop that D-line with 2 guys who can get to the quarterback like that. But I got Hunter going number 2. So with the Giants coming up, even though they need a quarterback also, you can't pass up on arguably the best player in the draft. So that's an easy pick for the Giants. Maybe they can move back up into the first and try and get a quarterback, because I believe there's only 3 guys who can come in and start. Maybe some other guys can start on certain teams, but I mean, for these players to come in and have some type of impact, I do believe Sanders and Dart from Mississippi would be the only 2 guys. After that, I believe there's a pretty good drop off. After that, there's just a bunch of, game managers, really. So with the 4th pick, you got the New England Patriots. Mike Vrabel is that head coach. Even when you go look at his time at Tennessee, I mean, they did not have an explosive offense. They ran the ball. They had a good line. I think that's exactly what they do. New England's known for the same thing, build the line. So I got them going with Will Campbell with the 4th pick. They need a lot of things. But do I think Will Campbell's the 4th best player in this draft? No. But I do believe that they feel they need to protect their quarterback. And, you spend a 3rd pick on him. So they go with Will Campbell, a proven college left tackle, the best college left tackle coming out by far. Now, is his ceiling as high as some of these other guys? That's a different debate. But, I've also heard Vrabel say he likes him. A lot of people are saying his arms are too short and he's going to kick in the guard. I think he would struggle at guard also. Maybe he would kick over the right tackle if he struggled at left tackle, but I still see him as a tackle. And then at number 5, Jacksonville. They could go a lot of directions. Some people say, go running back. And, Graham, everybody has Graham marked here with the 5th pick. I don't. I actually have Walker from Georgia. So that's the first curveball. That's the first pick where people probably don't think that player should be picked there. But if you go back and look at all these drafts, there's always somebody in the top 10 that gets picked that you say, I did not see that pick. And it changes the course of the draft slightly, not major, but a little bit, because it's going to change your draft board when somebody who's falls that you didn't think was going to fall because somebody picked somebody you didn't see. And that's what I have going with the Raiders at 6. A lot of people have Boise State running back Gentry going there, but the Raiders didn't think Mason Graham would be there at 6. So they put him next to Crosby to build that defensive line. And that's a heck of a pick. If they can get Graham at 6, I think the Raiders would be ecstatic. You look at Pete Carroll and how he built his teams in Seattle. You look at the new GM for Las Vegas, who came from Tampa Bay, and that's how they built their teams. So even though a lot of people have a running back going there, if you really look at how they build their teams, the philosophies from Tampa Bay and Seattle, neither one of them, the only time they spent a first-round running back was once under Pete Carroll, and that was Penny out of San Diego State. And that was the 27th pick of the draft, not a top 10 pick. So most of these drafts, if you go back, which I did, and look at how they draft, it's mostly trenches, I think a corner here and there, but it wasn't a lot of skill. I mean, but DK was even a 3rd-round pick. So it's mostly just trenches. So I got them going with Mason Graham at 6, and then the Jets come up. And obviously they have a new head coach also who came from Detroit. And how did they build that team originally? Through the trenches also. I got the Jets going with Membu, the tackle from Missouri. And some people have him as the number 1 guy over Will Campbell. Not a lot, but some people do. He had the best combine by far. Ran a 4.91, had the best bench press 31 times. Had a very good career, very good season this past year. The only thing is he's played a lot of right tackle, not left tackle. So that's why I have Will Campbell going over him, because Membu's only played right tackle. But I got them. The Jets actually picked their left tackle last year out of Penn State with the 10th pick. So now they got the bookends. Now they got the right tackle and the left tackle. So I think that's a good pick for the Jets. It brings us to Carolina with the 8th pick. And I got them going defense. I think they should go defense. They could go in a lot of directions also. But the player I have them picking is not the player I would personally pick. I got them going with Mike Green from Marshall. He had 17 sacks last year. I'm not as high on him. If you look at his first 2 years at Marshall, he didn't have a lot of production. I want to say the year before he had 4 sacks, and the year before that, I think he had 3 sacks. And then he had this breakout season this year. To me, a lot of people say he has great bend. I don't personally see it. I think he's a little stiff. He has some good power, but I'm not as high on him. But I got Carolina picking him at 8, which brings us to the New Orleans Saints, who also have a new head coach. Moore. Carr could be out for the whole season, they said. They don't know. He's injured. They were also talking about cutting him or trying to trade him, so I don't believe he's a long-term solution. With Sanders falling all the way to 9, some people still think he would fall further. I have the New Orleans Saints picking him with the 9th pick in the draft, which if all these things happen the way I see it and kind of hope, and maybe I hope this because I want this player at 10 probably more than anybody, except for maybe Ben Johnson, the running back from Boise State, Gentry. To me, he's the only superstar running back in this class. There's some good backs, but he's the only superstar. Some people have us trading up 2.5 to get him, but I don't know if we would trade up, possibly. If you listen to the press conference today, Ryan Poles spoke for a little bit. He said it's going to be wild. It's going to be a crazy crazy draft. And people said, well, why'd you say that? He said, I think there's going to be a decent amount of movement, So is he talking about himself? Is he talking about moving up for the guy? They asked, would you move up? And they said, we're weighing those type of options and what it would cost and who the player is. But if we could stay at 10 or even stay at 10 and try to move up to 8 if somehow he got to 8. I wouldn't mind moving up a couple of spots to secure that we got him. But in this one, I have him going 10th, and the whole coaching staff is ecstatic if this is the way it plays out. He would help Caleb tremendously, having a running game. If you look at Ben Johnson, they ran the ball in Detroit about 50% of the time. So he's not going to just pass the ball 45 times a game. But like he said, there's going to be games we run the ball a lot more than pass, and games we pass a lot more than run, depending on defense. But he said by the end of the season, I want our team to be pretty balanced. So I said that we'd go running back months ago. If you go back and look at a couple of my videos, I've been saying this for a while. Now, if he's there, he's obviously, I think, the pick, and I think Bear fans know this now. If he's not there, if he wasn't there at 10, and this is the way it kind of played out, but he was picked, maybe by the Raiders, and Mason Graham was on the board, then I would go with Mason Graham. If he was off the board, then I would go with Warren, the tight end from Penn State. If you disagree, with any of the things I've said or with some of these rankings, let me know. I would love to hear from you guys. If you like this content, hit a like, subscribe. Until next time, Bear fans, bear down.